Willow Well Cave Incident. On February 11, 1998, four friends named Ethan Miller, Brian Carter, Sam Hughes, and Liam Foster went to explore a cave. The cave was called Weatherly Well, and Liam had just found it during a recent walk. The cave had a very small entrance. It was only 9 inches wide, about as wide as a dinner plate. This tiny gap led down 4 feet before opening to an 11-foot drop, followed by another 10-foot drop. The four friends looked at the narrow entrance. It was wet and very tight. From above, they could see the first drop going down into darkness. The passage beyond twisted like a corkscrew, with very little room. The friends checked all their gear carefully. They knew only one person could enter at a time. Brian Carter, 63 years old, but still in excellent shape, was the smallest member of the group. He offered to go first. The team tied a rope securely above ground to assist Brian in climbing back out later. Then Brian started maneuvering his way into the narrow entrance. He had to contort his body to fit through the tight gap. As he squeezed through, his clothes became damp from brushing against the wet cave walls. After pushing through the tight entrance, Brian dropped down into a slightly larger space. The rope helped him lower himself safely. He was now 7 feet below the surface. He could finally stretch a little after the tight squeeze. Brian saw another 10-foot drop below him. His headlamp showed more twisting passages going deeper into the cave, but Brian knew it would be too dangerous to go further alone. He decided to turn back. Climbing back up the first part was easy, but when Brian reached the narrow entrance slot, he ran into big trouble. What had been easy to slide down was now almost impossible to climb up. Brian looked up at the tight slot above him. He started to climb using the rope for help, but when he reached the narrow part, he couldn't move any further. The tight space pressed against his body, and he couldn't squeeze through. He twisted and pulled, trying to force his body back through the opening, but the slot seemed even tighter than before. His wet clothes stuck to his skin, making it harder to move. Ethan and Sam noticed Brian was struggling. They tried pulling on the rope to help him, but the space was too tight. Each pull seemed to wedge Brian further into the rock. Brian was getting tired, and his hands were shaking from cold and effort. The cave was very cold, and it was winter outside too. Brian's wet clothes made him even colder. He started shivering badly. The tight space was so narrow he could barely even take a deep breath. Ethan and Liam tried to help by lowering extra clothes and warm drinks to Brian. Brian drank the warm liquid, but he was still very cold and stuck. Finally, Brian called out that he couldn't do this anymore. They needed to get help right away. Ethan and Liam quickly hiked back to Liam's house and called the East Tennessee Cave Rescue Team. The rescue team showed up within 2 hours. By that time, Brian had been stuck for almost 5 hours. He was pale and shivering from the cold. He couldn't stop thinking about how easily he had slid down through the slot, yet now, getting back up seemed impossible. The rescuers, experienced cave specialists equipped with proper tools, provided Brian with additional clothing and some food to help him stay warm. After that, they assembled a rope and pulley system designed to carefully pull him out. The rescue was very slow and painful. Brian could feel the cold rock scraping against his chest and shoulders as they pulled. The rescuers worked very carefully to avoid hurting him. After an hour of hard work, Brian finally came out of the tight slot. He was bruised but alive. The cold air outside felt good compared to the cave. Even though he was exhausted and cold, Brian wanted to walk back to the car by himself.